I could do one more. Uh, but it's this actually it doesn't look like much, but it's kind of a pain. Uh,
Can you zoom a little bit?
yeah. Uh, we have basically Calcite does will simplify things by default for you, but we've actually spent the entire time at Omni turning that behavior off everywhere it pops up because it like simplifies too much and does things that we don't want it to do. But what's been coming up is that people write these like big nasty case statements that essentially just reduce the to like render like case when some mustache value equals something, then something else, something, then blah 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 blah. That once you actually have the value from the user attribute or the filter reference is just a constant, but we're writing out the whole thing in SQL, which both causes people to be scared, possibly causes slower database queries if it takes forever to parse like a many megabyte query, and then in certain situations causes bugs where we fail to plan. So anyway, this is currently only local and it's a little risky, so it's a bit of an experiment. But basically, I've got this field that right it has it's written as a case when uh, on a user attribute. Um, but you see over here in the dialect SQL, when I actually run the query, right, we boiled it down and it's just one. So not super exciting here, but it like when you have these like many case statements in your query that can make it huge, we're boiling it down. Now that because it's rewriting when it landed, it'll rewrite everyone's SQL in a way that's like maybe minorly scary. Uh, Also, this is a demo of this other thing that if no one on the team vetoes, uh, just like a little, basically like without trying to make a huge mechanism for making model features, just this little like enable feature gesture that I've tucked in to the model code. So you just put it in a comment. So if we ever want to experiment with things at the model layer without the whole A, like the feature flags don't work in Kotlin. B, it's just on or off for the whole instance, and people might want to toggle them on a branch in a workbook. So just some other kind of model level way to toggle a model level feature. So I think I'll land this, turn this on for the customer who's hitting the bug, um, make sure it works, then flip it default on to default off, or sorry, default off to default on, and then you've got a similar disable feature. So anyway, it's a way of doing a model level rollout uh, features.
Does the bang mean disable it or
I
enable?
just made that as something like, look, there's code syntax happening here. It could be a pound bang, it could be like,
Got it.
yeah. No, I
Cool
made
kids call that a shebang, Stephen.
yeah.
Just make sure I'm thinking about that right too. That'll be mostly for like basic model compilation stuff because like model properties probably have to be supported kind of going forward and backwards. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. A lot of model features essentially what you're saying. You just opt into if there's a new property, you opt into it by
Yeah.
just using the property. So for a lot of things, you don't need this. So this is really like a SQL for SQL generation features or other things. I may want to use like we're having these problems with caching where like we sort cache misses and
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
understand why. I might also use this to basically be like enable feature super duper verbose cache logging and then just like or like literally rather than running the query, it just if it fails to run the cache, it like errors and spits out an enormous error message with like here's why I think I couldn't run this requery. So things like that. Yeah,
Stephen, would your intent with those be that they would be short-lived or long-lived or either?
short lived, and hence like also the very inaccessible, unfriendly syntax. Like
Yeah.
the idea is
Yeah.
not really to like, I mean, customers can watch this demo, whatever, but not really to be like, hey, customers, go do this. This is really like a couple of us to just get in there and mess with the system. Yeah.